Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Happy Musician Vlogcast, where musicians come to talk. So, my guests today are Riza and Mark Printup, and they are some phenomenal musicians. They're composers, they're arrangers, they're authors. They have a very long, extensive, spectacular music history. So, I'm very happy to have them as my guests today. So, I just want to say thanks, guys, and welcome to the Happy Musician Vlog. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for
Thanks a
having
lot. Appreciate
us.
it. Thanks a lot.
Well, first, tell me about your program, and then I want to talk about the books, and
Okay.
I want to also talk to your husband and see what he's been up to. So I have like a two for. I'm like, I feel so special. So
Yeah, that's awesome. This is package deal. No.
I mean, it is, and then it's quite a package. So, but yeah, tell me about your program. What I'm sure during COVID you got plenty more time to work on it than you thought you would have. But
Oh yeah, definitely. So, starting with the books, I actually have them here.
oh
Uh,
yes,
we started in 2016 of and I'll send the visuals, but it's Theodore Hazel and the Bird. I don't know with the lighting, it's kind of hard to see.
I can see it.
There we go.
So,
I'll be posting these on the like
so
post links and everything to them.
there's a harp and there's a trumpet, and guess who those two people are? Ooh.
Ooh.
So there's
Yeah.
Theodore Hazel and the Bird, and then the Great Big Spider and the Waterspout Blues, which I'll send the links and all that. But so Theodore Hazel and the Bird is kind of a representation of where we've been as artists, as musicians, and it also reflects kind of experiences that we've had in doing education. Um, and typically, I mean, and this is this phenomenon that happens that we've seen happen, like from the little kids to even grown-ups, where you ask the kids a question like, "Oh, so da 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 da, what do you think of that?" And if they're in a group setting, typically the eyes go elsewhere, right? They go, I don't know. And then you have all these voices. Oh, you should say this. You should say that. You should say this. And it's like, I don't know. Okay. Blue lollipop. I don't know. So in other words, it's not this organic, natural, like, oh, yeah. Oh, I think that. And then, of course, we see that as artists, even personally speaking, where it's like, oh, well, what's the trend today? Especially with social media and all
Oh,
of the
yeah.
online, how to keep up and what to do and how to market yourself. And there's so many ideas and opinions and, formats. And it's like, we can get lost in the voices.
Yeah.
We can totally get lost. And so the story of Theodore Hazel and the Bird is that Theodore and Hazel are helping the bird find his song. And, they go through this journey throughout New York City. And, and he's really distraught. He's like, I don't know what my song is. And there's an incident that happens in the book where he realizes, oh, wait a minute, I always had my song. It was always there, but there were these particular obstacles
I know all about those.
that were preventing him from, or her, the bird, from really discovering what their song is or was. And so the program that I have now is called I Have a Song Inside My Heart, which is based on the book. It's based on the song that my amazing husband sang on, that I forced him to sing on. And it's introducing jazz to early childhood. It really, this is based more for elementary schools, so pre-K, even pre-K to 5. And it's a program that introduces the kids to the main eras of jazz,
Wow.
blues, to New Orleans, to swing, what was that, bebop, Afro-Cuban jazz, and hard bop. Those are the main eras. And then within each era, we find different concepts or heartbeats, of the era,
Wow.
or different things that kind of identify each era. And then through these concepts, the kids are able to find their song. And so the activities, the songs, the arts and crafts, I mean, it's very multi, I guess you'd say multidisciplinary, you know, with all the
Well, yeah.
different forms of stuff. So they're able to find their song where they're able to express themselves individually. So, because what, like we know with the blues, you know, it's a typical 12 bar form, standard 12 bar form, but you have artists who, from Louis Armstrong to Thelonious Monk to Herbie Hancock and everyone in between.
There's a lot.
They'll play the blues. It's the still same, you know, the same 12 bar blues, but none of them are different. I mean, none of them are the same. They're all completely different. And so it's really helping the kids to find their own voices, to embrace their voices, and to be empowered in their voices. And then a step further is to be able to not only embrace it, but then to express it, and then also to embrace the voices of those around them and recognizing.
And the thing that makes that special, she was talking about the song. Of course, my wife wrote the music and the lyrics, and it's very empowering, just the words. And they are. I have a song inside of my heart. I've always had it right from the start. And if you listen carefully, what?
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful as it's meant to be. Sometimes my song is sad and kind of blue. Sometimes my heart may be broken in two, but when my heart is full of light, I want to share it with all and all of my might. And you know,
Oh my God.
it's great lyrics, and you know, my wife did make me sing it, and I was very shy, but every time I hear the lyrics of that song, and every time she sings the lyrics, she always cries because there's so
I
many.
want to cry. I mean, do you?
Yeah, I mean,
It's pretty intense words, and they.
there's very emotional about just kids, you know, just peer pressure. There's people bullying you. There's you
Yeah.
know, like body shaming things going on. So your song is important. Your song is you, and that's what makes it special. That's what I think what you're just saying as well. So it's true.
It's extremely important, and it's yeah. I mean, those. Wow, I'm in. I look. You can see. I'm like blah 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 blah. Blah.
So, you know, I think it's so important. Not, I mean, what perfect platform to find one's expression or voice than through jazz. And
Yeah.
you know, this is kind of, it doubles in the sense that not only are they hearing the music and they're being exposed, but they're being connected to the roots of where this music comes from, which is the United States of America. A lot of people don't want to address or deal with a certain part of history, i.e., slavery, which is, you know, it's the ugly underbelly of our nation's history, but it's a part of our nation's history. And the thing is, this out of this incredibly horrific time, you know, period, and experience from it, it's like the phoenix, right? It's like this beautiful art form. So many beautiful things emerge. You know, you have your spirituals, you have, you know, the literature, you have jazz, you have blues, you know, you have the blues, not even just the form, but even the inflection, you know, that you hear in church music. And so there is an expression there that cannot be imitated. It comes from a very organic place of expression, you know, the moan, the cry. And so I feel like children today need to be connected to history, you know, because it's part of our culture, you know, whether we want to accept it or not, you know, or ignore it.
It's here.
It's here. It's a part of our history. It's a part of our culture. And so, you know, for them to understand that there's more before Beyonce, love and appreciate Beyonce, but there's more, way more before they, you know, before them, and even from where they come from. So.
And I think what's really cool about this as well, when she does these programs, of course, it's for the kids, but there are always adults supervising, and the adults learn things as well.
I was about to say, if I was a parent, I mean, and how wonderful is that? Because the musical education, historical education that you're giving them is twofold.
Yeah.
And so it's the gift that keeps on giving. They don't even realize they're getting a gift, but it is a gift that keeps on giving, because a lot of people have no connection, like you said, or a lot of it's distorted. Like there's misinformation, and you know where it came from. I was talking to a colleague who's dealing with a student I was talking to on Facebook who had a very incorrect history concerning Elvis Presley, how he got his music and how he got his ideas, and another artist. So I mean, it's really good that you're doing this at such a young age,
Yeah.
and it's necessary and it's needed, and kids don't know it yet, but it helps ground you and it helps keep some of your humanity when you know where something is coming from, you know the birthplace, you're like, all right, it has so much more meaning, quality, and it sticks.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh
It's
yeah. And one of the important part, or another, well, there's so many different important parts of the program, but one of them is the storytelling. So you're getting to know the artist, because the way I right, the way it was designed, or that is designed or was designed prior to COVID, was that this is actually a general music jazz curriculum that teachers can purchase for their classrooms. And in fact, we are in
And
is it six school? Well, I know we're in a bunch of schools here in New York City. There are schools in Chicago,
wow.
Japan. There's like, it's been blowing up in Japan. So, but it's getting to know. So anyway, so it was in the classroom, and there's a teacher's handbook, and they have an online appendices where they get all the resources from. There's a fake book. There's pre-recorded, studio recorded accompaniment. So it's all available like on a cart, because we're trying to make it accessible for everyone.
Right.
And then, whether you are, deep in the city or way out in the suburbs in Timbuktu, it's accessible. So, but then post COVID, it's moved to this whole online thing. And so the first unit that the teachers have available to them is based on just the eras. So you're just discovering the eras and the different stories of, a very general scope of like, for instance, New Orleans, we talk about the Big Four, we talk about celebration and sad time, through the dirge and second line. And we kind of talk about the landscape of what was happening. But then there's another unit that we've been doing online that introduced artists. And so we talk about the artists. And so, like, Louis Armstrong was naughty too. But even when he was naughty, he found a way to express himself.
Right.
And
meaning he was naughty because when he was like 9 or 10 years old, he fired a pistol, not to try to hurt anyone.
No, he was just playing with a pistol.
Yeah.
Well, because it was New Year's Day and he was doing it to celebrate, and then they assumed him being a problem child and put him into a home for troubled boys.
For troubled boys, that's right. Yeah.
He should have not had his hand on a pistol.
Different times,
So there's stories even before that where he comes from very humble beginnings, and he was kind of taken under the wing of the Karnofsky family, and what he did with them and helping them, and how it all kind of ties it. And so, blowing his horn to let people know that they're in the city selling coal, or then, and like things like Ella Fitzgerald, how she was a tap dancer, and she,
many people don't know that. I didn't know it until maybe 10 years ago. I was like, yeah. Tap dancer? I was like, why did no one share this? This is really cool. And she was good.
Found that out just now that she's a tap dancer, which makes sense because her rhythm is so precise.
It's on.
So that makes
sense. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah.
She could totally feel it. Well, here's the interesting thing is, so the part of the stories that we share is, she had this one thing, like that she had her mindset on. She's going to this competition at the Apollo, and she's going to dance. She's going to tap dance, but she gets up on stage and she sees this other group and she freaks out. She's scared. Anybody ever feel scared before? So what does she do? She decided to sing. Well, then the part 2 of that story, even though she wins the competition, the first prize was supposed to be you get to tour or perform with, whatever major big band.
Yeah.
They didn't want to hire her. They didn't want her to play because they thought she was too fat and not pretty enough. Where have we heard that before?
Let's
So
see.
no.
No, she didn't tell me that.
So so she ended up playing, just the small clubs, and it wasn't until was it someone from Fletcher Henderson, no, Chick Webb's orchestra, who actually someone from the orchestra went and heard her, sing, and it was like, he had to convince the band leader, you have to have her perform.
Right. Yeah.
So even then, like these amazing artists who we think, what? That's Ella Fitzgerald. They had obstacles, they had things to overcome. There's a famous story where she was supposed to play at this one club, and the club owner was like, no, because she's Black.
Right.
We're not gonna have any of that. Marilyn Monroe steps in and says,
I know that story. Yes.
so, making friendships, working together, overcoming these obstacles, that things will be hard, but yet we're able to find a way to let our voices shine. And then of course it gets much deeper, in terms of lesson plans, but that's kind of the gist, of what we do. So it's very involved, and the kids have a great time. And then with the COVID, we've kind of opened the program up as a camp. So there's families in the background, and you can see parents are like,
so what are you talking
they start like, oh, look. And they get into it, and they are having a blast. And they're just like, so when's the next class?
And that's exactly what is needed right now. They need excitement about learning the truth, about learning real history. I mean, there's so many layers of what you're doing here. I mean, and it's so needed. It is so needed right now and necessary. So, I mean, you've already been doing it a while, but I mean, I guess the next thing I'll see, you'll be on like what, Oprah's favorite things next time. I mean, like, all right.
Oprah. If you know Oprah, call.
Hey, hey, Michelle.
Right.
Hey. Obama.
That's it.
I mean, I'm serious. Like, I would just send her a sample, just like, hey, Oprah, in case you wanted to learn a little about jazz history while you were just hanging out at your mansion, we figured go and enjoy.
That's right. No, that would be amazing. It's, it just, my whole approach is not just to give material that the kids will regurgitate. One of the conversations I've been having with folks at Department of Education is, how do we make music last or go beyond the walls of the classroom?
Oh my gosh.
How do we make it carry over? Well, one, I feel like you have to make it relatable.
Exactly.
You have to be able to connect with what's happening so that it means something to the individual. It has to mean something to you. So if the blues is a song that I sing, to express how I feel, and then we have the whole chart,
Right.
happy, sad, do this and that, and we come up with blue sheets, and then we're like, oh, let's sing how we're feeling. We can take that and use that as a tool. Oh, well, if I'm seeing, and we've actually seen that a lot. Like my teachers will be like, oh my gosh, you'll never believe what happened today. And, we teach swing as, when we work together, we call that swing, right? Because you can have the most amazing band members on the bandstand.
Yes.
But, world renowned, but if they're not working together, music's not going to swing. So, hello, if we work together, not just on the bandstand, but in real life, it's like, oh, on the playground. So I've had teachers call me and they're like, so-and-so said, Miss so-and-so's not swinging. He's not working with us. He's being a team player. He's not swinging.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, yes.
You created a whole new ideology.
It's insane. It's insane. So
that's awesome, though. I mean, they have a reference point, and kids need that. They want that. They don't know that they want it, but they want it, and they feel good about using it. I mean, I am I am so impressed, and I'm definitely going to talk to you more after the vlog about this because um, a lot of kids, I mean, need this, but I think a lot of adults uh, need this too. And one of the things that I had went through when I was becoming a musician was really trying to find my own way. And I I went to a school where I was the only African American girl. I went to a college where it was like 2% black people. So it was really hard, and I was doing like everything. So, oh my gosh, were you one of those kids?
Oh my goodness, on my whole life, elementary school, middle school, high school, college as well. I mean, always pretty much only. Um, we would call it the only spot back then.
Right. I would say I was the only chocolate chip. I was like, I'm the only chocolate chip up in here. And mine was like chocolate chip because the dough was always white.
And my parents always taught me that we're all equal and everyone's the same. There's no one better than you, and and you're not above anyone either. You just have to be who you are. And I never had that issue, but there are times where it was like, wow, why am I the only person of color in this group? So
Yeah.
it could
Yeah.
be only, but at the same time, you adapt to what's there. But then again, you don't want to lose what you are as well. So
Eggs. Yeah.
that's
And
a,
I think a lot of people went through that. I know I went through that. I did lose a little bit of my, I was, as a musician, at least musically, I was like, yeah, I'm not feeling a connection with this. I know I want to play the harp and I know I want to do this, but I'm not happy. I don't know why. And I'm not getting someone to show me something different. And then I had to figure it out on my own, and I'm glad I did because I'm really happy, and I figured out different ways to do things. I'm really happy. But if I had a program like what you guys are offering, I think the time and the mental and emotional energy that I went, the stress would have been a whole lot less. And I would have wasted a whole lot less money too.
Feel you.
I'm telling you, yeah. My parents still like, do you know how? I'm like, yeah, I know. I do. I know. I get it.
Oh, and it's I think it's just I think that's what makes it um special for us even and just even in even though it's the same lessons, it's like you have a different experience every single time. Um and we've I mean, I've done this with just a group as small as like 5 to 10 kids, even here online. I mean, we've done assemblies where um, up to like 800 kids in an auditorium, and to see, and then we also get the adults interacting as well.
like the principals and the teachers and the kids go crazy. Oh my God, this Mrs. Johnson being goofy. Oh my God, it's great.
Well, that because it just breaking down that
Yeah.
wall, that barrier, and
It levels the playing ground for everybody, right? So
oh, totally. And they go absolutely nuts. And it's beautiful. I mean, it's
Yeah.
really because like, there was one school in Jacksonville um, where the principal went up and we were doing a blues. And
She
so
was cutting up too.
because she was amazing. But the kids were like, and even the faculty, they're like, who is this person?
they've never seen her like the power of music. The power.
Awesome.
It
But
brings people together of all generations.
It's pretty insane. But anyway, I want to talk about Mark. What are you up
oh,
to?
Marcus.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Marcus, it's
actually,
okay.
that's actually personal, and that's okay because my family calls me Mark at home.
Ah,
So tell my people at home. Right?
it's all right. No, correct me. I don't take it personally, but yes, Marcus, I would love to know.
Yeah, I'm just, I've been in the jazz at Lincoln Center Orchestra. My goodness, since 1993, and Jim Marsalis and the band just got back from a tour of Europe. I think on March the 2nd, right when the pandemic.
That's right. Yeah.
And so we haven't toured or performed since then. We've done some online things, and we're actually planning. That's what we were doing last night. Recording a Christmas show that's going to be aired, I think December 19th to the 26th. So we're still working behind the scenes, but and I'm on the faculty at Montclair State.
That's right.
Trumpet, teaching, arranging, and teach some other private students. So just really trying to just keep my chops in shape. Like I said before, it's been difficult, like spiritually and mentally. Just to not play for people. And I realized how much I love to play this horn. And I realized, I love teaching, and it's great, but nothing can replace just playing and expressing for people. And that's what I miss the most. But it's starting to happen. I'm very optimistic that we're going to be through this COVID period, and then we'll start performing again for people. But it's just great just to see how the world has adapted to um, these times. I mean,
And so fast.
before I started teaching a lot on computer, my computer literacy is not the best, but I've kind of become like a semi-master at the computer with my wife's help, of course, and the help of some students as well. So I was like, "Wow, I can do this now! Boom, 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 cool." So
It's amazing what happens when choice is taken away.
yeah, I guess
If you want to eat, this is what you got to do, and you
yeah.
have to do it. It's
I mean, with any whenever you face adversity, you there's a dog. I hear the dog.
She says hello. There's a
That's,
lot of activity outside of my house, and she always yells at them and tells them to be
that's good.
quiet and go away.
It's
Doesn't
not,
work.
when you have the choice when you face adversity, either to look it in the eye, stare down, and fight it, or to succumb to it and go low. So I'm not going to succumb to anything. So that's what the world is doing as well. So
It's true, right? I mean, you have it's my I used to have a quote on my office because I was a very stubborn. I'm not as stubborn. I'm still stubborn, but not as stubborn. Although some people still may argue that. And it was every morning you have a choice. You can wake up and be the same, or you can flourish. And it was just and I've had it there because I like to get very comfortable, where I was, and oh, this is great. I'll stay here. I'll do this. And it was like, this is not where growth happens. This is not where anything happens. It's a nice place to be. It's a nice place to visit, but not a place you want to stay. And it's very true. And I think the world is getting a very hard, fast schooling in the importance of, change and growth, and having to just, you got to pivot. You just have to pivot and just keep moving. And it's really hard for people sometimes, but it's not impossible.
Correct.
I have a question for you.
Uh,
What kind of dog do you have?
she's a mix. Oh, what is she? She's like part terrier, which is with the barking, part rat terrier. I think she has a little pit bull in her. Yeah, she's a mutt.
Awesome.
I have things about. I just wanted to ask. I want to ask you some questions that I ask everyone. They're okay. Well, I wouldn't say there's some are easy, some are hard. But my first question, this probably is a quick one, is what are you two currently reading? I'm always looking for new books to read.
Music notes and lyrics to all these arrangements that I'm writing for the Jazz Ellington Center Christmas special, which is going to air December 19th through 26th. That's pretty much what I'm reading.
That's pretty much what you're reading. Well, that'll be on the. I'll put the link up for the podcast.
I'm reading the Bible verses that we do when we watch our service every Sunday morning. Pretty much it for me.
Yeah, I mean, I purchased a couple of books, but they're just sitting on my desk, and it's like waiting to be read. And so, but yeah, I thought that, or we thought, oh, there'd be all this time to be
I
able
thought too. I download. I mean, Kindle and Google Play Books loves me. I spent so much money, downloaded all these books, ordered these books. I typically read about 3 or 4 books at a time, and I can get through them pretty quickly. I'm at 2 books, and it's taking me forever.
Oh,
We
I
just
hear
ordered the Barack Obama.
Oh, we
book.
have the Barack Obama book.
Yeah,
well,
very good.
Becoming, even Michelle's book. I bought the book, but then I went to go see her when she was here in town, and then I watched the Netflix, and I still haven't read the.
I haven't read it. It's okay. I totally understand. I totally understand. It's pretty. It's
to do. It's like I think it's part of the bucket list now, but
I mean, yeah. I mean, I have all the Kindle sends you reminders when you have new books that you haven't opened, and it just keeps. I just shut it off. I'm just like, yeah, I'm gonna get there. I'm just busy right now.
It's just
We have Kindles, but we don't use them like we should.
yeah, and we
Actually,
got
I have a
them.
ton of books I need to go. Thank you for the reminder. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Pandemic.
Yeah, yeah.
We even got new Kindles at the beginning of the pandemic, thinking, "Oh, this will give us so much more time."
Yeah, no.
You know, we do have a book on relationships, but it's just
I
yeah.
mean, everything. I think that's just the most like comical thing about it is I really, yeah, I was like, oh yeah, that's my husband. My husband got book. He has a Kindle work. We're gonna read and we're gonna talk about this. I was like, oh, maybe we should even start a book club. I was like, yeah, I'll start a book.
Wow.
No.
Yeah.
Listen, we've been spending so much more time just learning how to navigate around this technology.
And it does take time. It does take time.
So much time. So
What's your second?
Then I won't hold you to that one. This one's always difficult for musicians, but it always sparks such wonderful conversation. What are your favorite pieces to play, or just what's your favorite piece?
Well, I have two favorite songs. One is "Amazing Grace," and the other is well, Bill Evans and Miles Davis took credit for. It's a great ballad off of Kind of Blue called "Blue and Green." Those two songs really do it.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm trying to wait. I know I've heard this.
It's a ballad, which of course it's one of the most beautiful tunes ever written.
Oh,
Bars, and it's beautiful. So Blue and Green, Bill Evans, but Miles Davis recorded it famously on Kind of Blue.
awesome. Do you have a recording of this piece at all in your
Off of a record called London Lullaby, and I think it's like track 6 or 7. But if you Google Marcus Printup Green or Marcus Printup London Lullaby,
Well, they won't have to Google it. I'm going to put a direct link
thank you.
to it because they should love it. Blue and green. Sorry, guys, I'm writing this down.
I love doing duets.
You're the fastest one. No one's ever answered the question that fast, Marcus, ever. It's always like
That's the fixed answer that I always give for those two tunes, So yeah, but that's it. That's mine. How about yours?
oh well, so one of mine is Corcovado.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
Corcovado. I actually reharmonized the parts of the tune. Yeah, but it's a
and
very.
We recorded that on this. What CD is that on? With that, what you're talking about? Is that on the one with Can't Go?
Is that
We recorded that as well. I don't.
It's After Love
on one of our CDs. I can't remember.
that shows how much work you guys accomplished because you can't even you can't pinpoint.
He's gonna look it up. It's kind of no. So it's done as a ballad. Not the intro is just done as a ballad, as a non bossa. It's just huh?
Play it.
What? I have to switch. I mean, maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll do that in a bit.
You don't have to. You don't have to. But if the mood strikes you, I'm not gonna say no.
Yeah. No. Well, maybe we'll do that. We'll play it, the way we typically do. So it's a very reflective. That's right. Sing it, girl.
You said I want to hear it. I want to hear it.
So Corcovado, in just the way that we do it, and then God, I love playing ballads. I just love ballads. I love. There's Gentle Rain, actually, recently, because that one I do know we just recorded because it's on the album. That is the title track. Is Gentle Rain is the name of the album.
Wow.
And then, so that, and then there's a couple of just originals, that
are your favorite,
written just because it's, from the heart. It's what I was feeling. It was what, it reflected the experience, at the time. And so, but but yeah, mine tend to be like ballads because
Yeah,
I
me
feel like
too.
I can really dig in and
Right, yeah. You can express yourself really well in there, like just kind of let go, like, all right, here I go. I'm just
yes.
gonna I don't think anyone has answered that question as quickly as you two just have. I think you've set a record. I'm gonna check, but I'm pretty sure you set a record. But that's awesome. Now here's a deep question for you. What two people have been the most influential to you, and why?
Which two people have been the most influential to me? Um, wow. Okay. Well, one, I would have to say my husband. I think definitely my husband. Because I think, yeah, very much so.
What's his name?
He's a cute guy. Marcus, Printup. Marcus, we're Printup now. And when we first met, um, I know a lot of harpists can relate to that. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not going to generalize, but generally, my flavor of music was bossa because it just lends itself so well on the harp, the mid register, the strings, the chordal, qualities. And so I just, and being Filipino and having the whole Spanish background and
Yep.
influences, a lot of Filipino folk tunes have the Spanish influences. And
Yes.
so that, of course, I'm like, ooh, and then so when we met, he's like, he asked me to play some things, and he's like, so can you swing? Can you swing? And I'm like, well, can you play bossa?
Good response.
I played boxes before I met my wife, so I'll just say that she was definitely an influence on bringing me over to boxing. And the reason why I like it is because I swing so much, but when you swing, it's but bossa is like straight eight notes. As opposed to is so that got me playing straighter, and which is actually helped my time as well. So
Wow.
But musically, I mean, he's definitely been a huge influence because in our collaborations, or even when I'm just practicing, he'll come in and be like, "Oh, well, why don't you try this, or why don't you try that?" And the whole stubborn characteristic.
Yeah, I know a little bit about that. Yeah.
That's on my passport. It's too. So like, well, no, I just wanted to, and he's like, no, honey, just try it like this, and obviously just playing with him and learning from him has really opened my mind and my heart up, just musically speaking. Of course. And
talk about before you met me, granddad. That's
I know. Well, that, and then also just because of his heart, Marcus. I'll get to it.
You guys are so married. I love it.
No, but he is just, we think when it comes to certain situations, we have different approaches. We think differently. I'm more of the and he's like, no, honey, let's just down.
You should be my husband, yeah, because I'm the same way. I'm just like, I'm all in. Let's do it. And my husband's like, well, can we'd like to see them again. Can we?
I definitely, there's so much, one of the things that he's, that I've gleaned, if you will,
Okay.
or not I don't know if I've acquired them yet, but I'm gleaning. It's just wearing your heart on your sleeve, and just and he's all about, Marcus is all about heart. He's all about feeling. He's all about soul. He's all about, even in his playing, like he teaches, jazz is feeling.
It is.
And the first thing he'll do when he gets on the horn is he'll have his kids or whoever, he'll do a call and response. He'll be like, okay, do this. And he'll sing something. And it's very much from, it's a blues. It's from his roots. It's from gospel. And it brings this whole different approach. The kids are like, oh, wow. Oh, it's about expressing, so I'm, that's influenced me heavily. I don't know if it's carried on. But
You teaching that expressing. I mean, I'm seeing some wonderful musicians, and their playing is as cold as a hospital floor. I mean, I'm just like, oh, where is the?
I gotta use that one. Well, no, private. That's nice.
but it's true. I mean, we need, and it's just bringing that soul, not just, you know, it's having it translate through everything that you do. And so definitely, so Marcus Printup is one of my
One of your influentials. All right, who's number two?
number two would have to be gosh, is even that guy? I don't know.
You may not have a number two.
Yeah, well, it's kind of hard. It goes between my maternal grandparents and yeah, my mom.
Mother.
My mom too.
Her mother loves to sing. She has a passion as strong as ours. Like whenever we go, back to when we go home to California, Riza is like the resident pianist, and her mom's like, "Oh, play this," and then la, 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 sings for hours and hours, and I love it because she has that passion to sing, and that's what's missing in a lot of programs. You go to schools, people are talking about technique, this and that, but just sing for the sheer enjoyment of singing,
right?
And that's what your mother gives that. My mother had the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be really. My mother, my father, my grandfather is a great singer. My greatest teacher was my first jazz teacher was Bishop David Hudson. He played the tenor saxophone and taught jazz band in my high school. But he also, he taught in the music. He taught band, just band classes for like 40 years. And he could have come to New York. He actually was in Chicago and was a prominent jazz musician on the scene. But it's hard to make a living as a jazz musician. So he moved back down south and taught schools for 40 years. Just a fantastic man, fantastic musician. Marcus Roberts is my main influence, the great jazz pianist. I met Marcus when I was in college, and Marcus introduced me to Wynton. So I met Marcus Roberts and Wynton, in the same week, and that really changed.
Wow.
There's so many great musicians, that have passed on now that I've got a chance to work with. Soloff, Marcus Belgrave. I mean, all these fantastic musicians who are now gone. Joe Templey, who was in our orchestra since the very beginning. So there's so many people, and the thing that's great about this question that you're asking us is that now it's time for us to pass it on to the next generation. So that's the beauty in all of this, is just passing it on to the next generation, and then hopefully you will interview them in another 20 years, and they'll talk about us.
That's what I hope that this, that's why I had the Vlogcast and have the discussion. And yes, I'm the happy musician, all about being happy, but I really want to talk with people who are they're what I call heavily in the mix, and because it's just such a wealth of history, culture, information, personal stories, and it just, something to just pass along in a very comfortable setting, So yes, I hope that, someone will dust off, which will probably then be an old computer.
Right.
Clear it up and, watch the Happy Musician Vlogcast and be like, wow, So,
oh, that's what a mouse used to look like. No.
Right? Like, what is that? Yeah, I'm waiting. My husband and I joke about how we think things are going to be when we're like 30 years from now. And it already happened. I was talking to a student, and I was like, I said something and I mentioned CD, and the student was like, what's a CD? I was like, oh my God, it's happened. It's happened. I was like, this is how my parents felt when they said record.
Right? Remember cassettes, all those things? Eight tracks.
8-track.
Yeah.
They're like, what's a CD? I was like, oh my God. But now everyone knows what a record is. But
just unpacked some boxes, I guess, during the pandemic, and boxes that have been packed for like the last 15 years or so. And I found all these cassette tapes of when I was in college doing gigs. My voice was maybe a third higher. And it's just so deep just to go through those, memories, man. It's just wonderful.
It's intense.
Check it out.
It's intense, yeah, to go down memory lane, and it's a legacy, and that's, I think that's one of the things that's missing with upcoming people. I think the importance of leaving a legacy has kind of been unintentionally left to the wayside. So, it's important to teach that along with music, teach that along with sports, teach that along with everything. The legacy is, and that's a question actually when I was learning music, I was like, well, what type of legacy do you want? I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was a very good question to ask, and it was asked repeatedly with teachers that I had really good, and it really kept me, I don't want to say on the right path, but it really kept, whenever I did something, that question was right here
Wow.
where I was going to do something. So it's like, well, maybe you shouldn't do that because is that what or maybe you should, or so it's a really good question. So all right, speaking of questions, my last question is, what's the one thing you do to keep happiness in your art? And this is a really good question for now.
Oh,
In your art or in your heart? What'd you
In
say?
your art.
Your art. Man,
how do you stay happy in your art?
music is life. Charlie Parker said, music is your own thoughts, your own wisdom. If you don't live it, it won't come out of your horn. So we live and we breathe life, and that's what comes out of the horn, and that's what makes us happy. Makes me happy. Makes us happy. Yeah.
Makes you happy. You live and breathe music. Well, you guys answered these questions way too fast.
A lot of interviews.
I can tell, but the answers are poignant and they're perfect answers. So before I kind of wrap things up, do you have anything different than that answer, Riza, or is it pretty much, yeah, that's, he summed it up for you
In my music.
You're just always happy.
No, not always.
guys? That's so sweet that a husband said that though.
Not always. When the cameras go off, he'll be like, actually, no. No. Like, I try to, I mean, just like he was saying, how there's life. I think when I'm playing, there's always something I'm trying to find in any song, in any, or even if it's just a vamp, even if it's just one chord, or whether I'm playing or whether it's like non-structured, whatever.
That's a deep point.
I'm always trying to find an emotion, I think. And it's interesting, because we talk about finding your voice, right? See? So it is. It's this constant, like, trying to tap into something. I'm trying to find what it is. I'm trying to cut through the noise. I'm trying to cut through my to-do list, cut through, all the chores that have to be taken care of and all the emails that need to be responded to. And I'm trying to find, what is this emotion that I'm trying to, to tap into? What is it that I'm really feeling in the moment? And then trying to express that, through the music. So whether it's, changing the groove of a tune, or, or transcribing it to, or just, so I think,
exactly. And I can end I can end my thing with this is something I tell my students all the time, especially at the end of lectures or whatever. I say, as a musician, we have the power to heal people and to touch people, and in doing that, it heals and touches us. So that's my
perfect. It's perfect, and it's so true.
It is, and I think it kind of goes.
We have a duty to do that.
We have a duty.
Yeah. I was going to say we have a responsibility, but we do, and I think that's. I think you're trying to scare people away, but I share it. When my really serious students, like, look, you have a lot of power, and with great power comes great responsibility, and they're kind of like, oh my God. I'm like, listen, you're not going to kill anybody. It's okay. Like, but it's there's the power in music, and it's really I do discuss that with my students, because I music saved my life. I totally believed it. And it's something that took me all over the world. People don't believe me. I'm like, well, I grew up in the ghetto. They're like, no way. I'm like, yeah, I did. I was little girl in a row home in the ghetto. Like we didn't have an awful life, but we were on the poverty level, and my parents refused to not. They're like, you're whatever we have to do. You're gonna have music in your life,
Yeah.
Wow.
And we did sports and we did other things, but you're gonna have music in your life. And now it took us from a little row home in Philly, to Amsterdam, England, Paris,
That's great.
Germany, we it's you know the Grammy. I mean, we've been, if you told me as a little girl that this is what music is going to do, I would call you a liar. I would have been like, "Psh, yeah, right."
Parents yet? I'm sure you have.
So
But no, I was asking if you had thanked your parents for that foundation yet.
constantly,
Good, good.
yeah, constantly,
My
yeah.
wife's mother and father bought her a harp when you were 15, right?
Yeah.
You were 15. They bought her this harp, right?
Yeah.
When you were 15, and you took piano
I
lessons.
got this one when I was no, 17, but my grandmother.
Right, right.
And it kind of goes in line with what you're talking about, legacy. Because as musicians, what is our primary objective? Is it just to play music, to learn it, and then play it and perform in front of audiences, or like Marcus was saying earlier, are we using this music to make a difference? Are we using this music to connect with people and to help people connect with each other? Like, are we using this, like, and you were saying, I mean, so it's all tied in together. And I
All of
think
it, yes.
we do have that responsibility of choosing, is this going to be used for selfish purposes, just like, okay, I'm just going to play, and then I think that's can be reflected in the way you play. But then when you're using it in a sense of creating that legacy, healing people, um honoring it, as a responsibility, there's a whole nother approach to how
Yeah, yeah.
you
And boy, do we need that now.
oh yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Lord, we need that
Yeah, yeah, we all need a little bit of healing and a little bit of connecting and a little bit of just
now.
I mean, and what is everyone turning to? I mean, everyone's turning to music and arts, and because it is, it's tangible, and it's that's a wonderful thing about music. I've had such a hike in adult students. I mean, I can't even keep count.
wow, that's awesome.
They're home, they're not doing anything, and this is something that they've wanted to do, and it's fantastic. And even young kids, but I think parents, with the kids not being able to do sports and everything like that, they're looking for something. And so it's we do need it now, and the kids they're like, and I'm surprised. I've retained all of my students, and all my parents say, look,
That's awesome.
it's a constant, it's a norm, it's the one thing that hasn't changed except for online,
Wow.
and they just don't want to disrupt that. It's like it's keeping us sane, it's keeping them playing, and it's needed. So you know we could talk all day about that, but
That's amazing.
And my alarm just went off. That means it's time for me to put my drops in my eyes. Well, I just had eye surgery last week, so that's why I'm wearing the shades, everyone. But
yes, he's not trying to be Stevie Wonder. He's had a really awesome surgery, but I'll let you guys go. I want to say thank you so much for being my guest. I want to say a quick thing to everyone watching. If you liked everything that you heard here, I'm going to put a ton of links, ton of information on the vlog that you'll be able to click on and go directly for music and everything. Subscribe to thehappymusician.com, and you will be able to learn much more about Riza and Marcus and the amazing work that they are doing and the legacy that they are building in the music world. So, thank you, Riza, and thank you, Marcus.
Welcome. I didn't know if you wanted us to close out with the Corcovado.
Do you want to? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's up to you. Does he need to get his eye drops first?
Yeah. You want to do your eye drop?
you have to set the I'm fine. You have to set the mics up. Or no?
Yes, I do have to. Well, I just have to adjust the chairs. Do you want to do your eye drops
Sure.
first?
We'll be very quick.
All right, everybody. I'm going to pause it.
Do this on camera.
All right, everyone, we're back with a special treat from Riza and Marcus. They are going to perform a beautiful piece. And so, Riza and Marcus, tell us the name of the piece.
This is Corcovado. Can you hear me okay with this?
I can hear you fantastic.
Switch it. Perfect. Corcovado by Antonio Carlos Jobim. And yeah, this is my arrangement of it. So the reharmonization of stuff in the anyway, you'll hear it. Okay.
Okay. I'm so excited.
All right, good.
Yes. Thank you so much. Ah,
Thank you.
you fed my soul. Oh my gosh.
Aw, thank you so much. Thank you so much for all that you're doing with your vlog, your message. I mean, this truly, I mean, even before the pandemic, the Happy Musician is just bringing light. It's just been bringing light to so many people. I know first for harpists, but really to the world, because we really need this and we need this message. We need to be reminded. So thank you.
And happy holidays to everyone.
Oh, happy
Thank
holidays. All right, everyone. You got a really good treat. I feel you just made my whole I think I'm good. I think I'm good till Christmas.
you.
I'll dial back up and be like, I need some more.
Oh, well,
And
to let you know, speaking of Chris, we're doing a, but, oh, here, you tell me.
Well, I guess it was about 10 years or so ago since, Facebook, we do this annual pajama jam. So every Christmas morning we get up, whenever we get up, and we come sit in this same location and play Christmas carols for 30, 40 minutes. So it's going to be on our Facebook pages, I guess, or our artist page. So the pajama jam is going to happen, God willing, on December 25th, starting in anywhere between the hours of 9 a.m. and 10
whenever they get up. But oh my gosh. All right, I'm putting this on the vlog. I'm gonna do my best. Hopefully I will be awake. We tend to sleep in a little bit. Sometimes it's because we've had adult beverages, but
That's all good too. Thank you so much for having us, Candace. We really thank you for all that you're doing, and thank you for inviting us to be a part of this experience.
Well, thank you too. All right, everyone. All the information will be on the vlogcast. Will be on the links under the vlogcast when you log on to thehappymusician.com. And thank you for watching. And I hope you enjoyed this wonderful treat. Happy holidays.